Everyone, I'm Greg Lambert with the Geek and Review, and I am here with Cheryl Wilson Griffin, the CWG from LTH. And Cheryl, you're going to talk to us a little bit about the Chat GPT being exposed. Tell me more.
Yes, I'm going to tell you about an interesting and terrifying exposure that has the potential to impact each and every one of us, both personally and professionally. Last month, the world was made aware that at least 110,000 full ChatGPT conversations were made public on the web, crawled by Google, and permanently recorded into the Internet Archive due to a simple checkbox in ChatGPT. Of course, much of what was exposed were silly chats like Dungeons and Dragons plans and questions about monetary policy, but some exposures hit way closer to home. One of the worst examples was from a legal perspective, was a chat conversation that included some really specific prompt telling us that it's a conversation with a lawyer in Austin whose client is a multinational energy company who wants to buy land in the Amazon rainforest from indigenous people who have rights to the land. Now,
Oof.
it's bad enough that it contains enough identifiable information that the internet has already figured out who the lawyer is and who the client is. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is that this particular conversation history also included the lawyer explaining that the indigenous people don't know the value of land and then requesting a strategy from ChatGPT to exploit this to get the land for the lowest price possible.
Oh.
And even if the multinational company was totally on board with the plan, they certainly didn't want that published for the entire world to see. We have entered the era of searchable malpractice.
Hmm.
If you want to learn more about what happened, how it happened, and what to do about it, check out our recent article on Legal Tech Hub called ChatGPT Damage Control and Future Proofing on LegalTechnologyHub.com.
Yeah, I'm glad it was just my D&D prompt that got surfaced on this one. All right.
Exactly.
Well,
There were some good ones, though.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Cheryl.
Welcome to the Geek and Review, a podcast focused on innovative and creative ideas in the legal industry. I'm Marlene Gebauer.
And I'm Greg Lambert. And today we thought we would just kind of catch up on a few things that, yeah.
Greg warned me all about hitting the glass table.
Don't
and
hit the
what did he
table.
do?
So I'm going to put my hand behind my back. We're going to catch up. We both went to a couple of conferences lately. I went to ClioCon and you went to ACC. Well, and one more thing, while I was at ClioCon, you were actually in Boston as well.
That's true.
For a different reason. Do you want to tell the listeners what?
Yeah, well, I was recognized and the podcast was recognized for the American Legal Technology Awards in journalism. So I had the distinct pleasure of attending the award ceremony at Suffolk Law School. And it was great. It was absolutely fabulous. We had such a great time.
Did you have a speech prepared?
No, I did not have a speech prepared. And it's funny, I spoke with our one of our friends from the podcast and said, do people make speeches here? Like, I don't know how this works. And she's like, nah, they don't really make speeches. And then, of course, the first person went up and made a speech. I'm like, oh dear. So
people set these precedents, and then you gotta
and then you gotta follow them. So I put something together, and apparently it sounded good because I got a couple of compliments on it. So
well done.
Yes.
Well done. Well, congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
So it's I got to go to the after party, and everyone was really happy, and of course, you had some really good competition as well. So
it's true. Steve Embry, who we've had on the podcast before, was part of my competition, and but again, we're all friends, and the thing is, everybody actually gets an award, so it's just a different type of award. So
sounds good. Sounds like a lot of fun. I know the after party was fun. So
the after party was fun. So I've never been to ClioCon before, and I think this was your first time.
I went to the online one in like 2020.
Oh, that was like the COVID one?
Yeah, the COVID one. It's really interesting because it's a conference around a product, which is interesting.
One product.
One product. It's one product. It's got lots of,
parts, modules,
plugins to it. But yeah, so it was really interesting. Jack Newton uh, the founder and CEO, very energetic, kicked it off, and I mean, it's a high energy conference with lots of really good programs, but it's just a good audience. It's kind of strange because the people that are there are really there because they want to learn more about the product, how to use it better,
They're
what's coming.
customers.
Yeah, there's customers.
Or
So.
prospective customers. Yeah, it's funny. Jack was actually at the award ceremony, and I believe he was up for one of the he was a presenter, I think, and he basically got up there and was like, okay, there's an after party, but ClioCon starts at 9 tomorrow.
Yes,
So
yeah, a
he
little.
was like, all right, guys, you still got to show up.
Yeah, it was interesting because the after party was sponsored by 8 a.m. and then Jack kept saying, "But you don't have to be at the ClioCon until 9 a.m."
Very cute.
Yeah.
Very cute.
So, um, yeah, it's well, the reason that I went to ClioCon was because I was invited, actually by one of our former guests, recent guest, Anusha Gillespie, because of the vLex Clio acquisition, which I think they were waiting, I think, on some European, I think it was Spain, to sign off on it.
Clear it.
So I think they've cleared all the hurdles except for that. That's supposed to be clearing any day now. But there's, they've got lots of plans going on, and they wanted to kind of share those, not just with their typical customers, which typically are small solo firms, but they've got $900 million to play with now with funding, and they're really taking a big swing at Big Law. Give us a little introduction to the product.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I'm hoping to hear more about that roadmap in terms of the direction that they're going.
So tell us about ACC. How does it set up?
So ACC is basically the Association of Corporate Counsel, and you have thousands of corporate counsel from all over the country and world coming to this conference, and it's a trade show, and people are coming to learn more about the topics that are presented. There's CLE offered, so if you're an attorney, as most of the attendees are, that's a big draw, and it's terrific. And then you also have sort of the vendor, the vendor space. So you have the exhibit hall, just similar to many conferences most of us have gone to. And the one thing that was interesting to me, and again, like my first time going to this, so firms have booths. So it's not, but when you think about it, it makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
it makes sense.
But it caught me off guard because there were a number of firms. I mean, these are firms that and they had booths there, and so they had attorneys there, they had marketing people there, and for me it was a little surreal because I was just not used to that. But
were they mostly big law firms, or were they boutiques? Or
from what I could tell, it was mostly bigger law firms that were there. And, you had a lot of governance vendors. Thomson Reuters was there, had a very big presence. And, I had a good time walking the exhibit hall, just sort of seeing it because it was very different than what I was used to.
Interesting.
Lots of good swag.
Yeah. So if I guess if you were to compare what we were doing, or the two types, how do they compare, do you think?
Well, I guess, I mean, just sort of understanding what I understand about ClioCon, it's focused on a specific client set. It's sort of tech. I think you can tell me.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
if I'm
mostly
wrong,
tech.
but it's like tech forward, and I think the ACC is much more. And again, this is just my experience, and I missed the first. I missed Monday because my flights got all screwed up. So take it with a grain of salt. But there was a lot of focus on governance, regulatory, because again, I mean, these are all in-house counsel, and that's a lot of what their job was. So, but saying that, lots of the presentations were about AI and generative AI and what people need to know about generative AI and how to how to protect against you know improper use of generative AI. So lots and lots of AI.
Was there any complaining about their outside counsel?
I did not hear any complaining about outside counsel. What was interesting to me is again, and I have a different type of role, and I only heard one panel very briefly kind of go over how not just an information governance policy, but like you have to have a data governance policy. Like you have to have, data hygiene and data cleanup in order to make, your AI work well. So, not
Were they talking about internally, or were they talking
they
about
were
their
talking
offense?
about
Okay.
internally, and that was the thing. Like I didn't hear a whole lot of focus on how they are in a position to help their organizations use these tools safely and effectively. So, to make things as easy as possible, with all the while making sure that the proper protections are in place. The other thing that I didn't, you talked about outside counsel. I didn't really hear much discussion about outside counsel at all, but I only went to the AI programs. But that was one of the things. I was there to speak, and I was speaking about AI disruption on a panel, and with two in-house counsel, one consultant, our friend Saju George, and I started talking about that there's a partnership here. There's an ability, there's ability to reach out to your panel firms and your outside counsel because they have lots of people in this space, an innovation space or a knowledge management space or, data science. And they have a lot of this experience. They have a lot of this knowledge. So, tap into that if you can. Um, I know the groups were very hungry for examples, as I think most
Yeah.
most audiences are. And they were also very interested in benchmarking. And I remember I was sitting in one panel and they're like, there's really no benchmarking. I was like, there really is benchmarking. And, things like vowels, and I think it's legal. I think legal benchmarking. I forget. They just came out in September with an evaluation. So, I was telling about a few of those things. I actually referred them to Bob Ambrosie's summary of Jack Newton's opening, and where he was talking about a day in the life of a lawyer and all the different examples that. Because I looked at that and I realized that was all Clio, but I've also seen other tools that do those things too. So
Yeah, I think on the benchmarking, Chad Main's podcast in the last couple of weeks has talked about that. You forwarded that to me.
That's where we should have that individual on the podcast.
So what was your big takeaway from it? Not takeaway. What was kind of the aha moment that kind of maybe caught you off guard, or something made you think?
I think like my aha moment was that there's plenty of opportunity for kind of law firms to go and showcase what they're doing in this technology space and how it's benefiting the clients. I mean, you have this closed, you have this sort of encaptured, group that is basically all the people that you want to talk to, and they're all there. So take advantage of that.
Yeah.
How about you?
So for me, I mean, there was a ton of information. Jack Newton's keynote. I was sitting next to Bob Ambrogi, and I would lean over as he would go, and one more thing, and one more thing, many one more things. And I just leaned over and I was like, oh my God, this is too much. This is just too much.
My head's going to explode.
But it's amazing kind of the attitude that Clio has as far as, taking the technology by the horns and just kind of riding it and really trying new things, going and swinging big. And so it was interesting. That didn't really surprise me because I've heard Jack Newton talk before, and he's quite charismatic. The thing that I think probably I walked away with, and I thought the longest on, actually didn't even occur, and it occurred in the hallway. and I had a conversation with Ed Walters from vLex, which is now rebranded as Clio Library.
Yes, I've heard this.
But Ed and I had a conversation, and I really was asking him because of something that I think we both have seen with the legal research products over the past 5 or 6 months, and that is a substantial improvement in output. And I have seen just, for a couple of years, it was bad.
It was bad.
The results were bad.
Enough where you're just like, I'm just not going to use this because I don't trust that I'll catch it.
I think they were just darn lucky in the fact that a lot of attorneys had a very long runway of forgiveness, because I think everyone thought this was going to improve, and the old saying of "this is the worst it will ever be." But I mean, a few months ago, I just started seeing significant improvements, and so I was asking Ed about this and kind of what his thoughts were behind it. And I think the conversation started with, is it because the LLMs are better, that there's a reasoning models now that they're able to do agentic, workflows and this and that. And he was like, yeah, that's, kind of part of it. He says, but really what's going on is behind the scenes. And that is that the RAG technology and the vector databases have significantly improved. And not only that.
Why is that?
Well, I did some research on it. And what he was saying was, not only has the technology improved, but the technologists have better understandings on how to work with that. And so I actually have I did some research on this. Ended up with about 70 pages of very technical jargon of why the improvement has happened. And a lot of it is on how the data in the vector databases is being indexed and it's being chopped up or chunked, right? So there's some good improvements on the way that it's handling the input of information. And then when it comes to actually retrieving, so the RAG, retrieval-augmented generation, and so the retrieval part has improved significantly. And so the old adage of garbage in, garbage out, well, it used to be, if you got bad results on that initial pull from the documents from using the RAG process, you got bad output because you were dealing with bad data.
Yeah.
And so now they're actually working really hard and improving the ability to isolate what is the better data to bring back and augment, and then use that to generate the output.
It's all about data.
And yeah,
it's all about good data.
It's all about data, but I think it's kind of an unsung hero. So I took that 60 pages of data. I sent this to you before you came over today, so I don't know. I know you didn't have a chance to read it.
I read a little bit of it.
And actually, I think I was inspired a little bit from Anusha Gillespie's writing. And I turned it into like a 10-page story where it's two people that are talking about it. It's really like my, if Ed Walters and I had more time, I think this would have been the conversation that we had. So, it's those sorts of things, those in the hallway kind of meetings, I think is still, to me, when it comes to conferences,
absolutely,
that's the absolute best.
Absolutely. It's the sessions are good. And I mean, the sessions can be good. Some are good, some are better than others. But I
have an hour I can't get back from one of the sessions.
Shall we
we
won't talk about
that.
Talk about that. But there's nothing like kind of connecting with people face to face and just sort of having a conversation, and of people that you respect and who are knowledgeable in the industry, and sort of sharing experiences. I think that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. So Did you answer the aha moment yet?
I did answer the
Okay.
aha
Okay, I
moment.
couldn't remember.
It was a marketing aha.
That's right. The sessions themselves, I did a couple that were really good. Joshua Lennon had his kind of the survey that Clio does of all of its customers and its data. One of the interesting things that he did, and I thought he was joking when he said this at the beginning of his talk, was he was talking about, well, we've looked through the data, we looked through how you work, and then we also looked at how you think about it. And I was like, okay, where's this going? They literally had a process where they had customers that had, the cap.
They had aluminum cap on their head?
They had the cap on their head to test their brain waves
Get
while they
out.
were working. And so they did a number of things to see kind of how they were approaching things, what kind of frustrated them, where they found joy.
I want to know more about this brainwave stuff. 'Cause I thought you were going to say they had something sort of like Wendy Jepson's Let's Think.
No,
but he literally has brainwaves.
Biometrics of the brain waves as they were conducting their
I
work
must
during
know
the
more
day.
about that.
So yeah,
If we ever have Jack on the podcast, maybe we can wear the hats.
We'll have Jack there, and then we'll have Joshua.
It's like a
in the
50s
background,
sci-fi movie,
turning the knobs in the background. I could totally see him doing that.
I totally want to do that.
So, any good sessions that you attended that stuck out?
Yeah, one of the I guess it was plenary session. They had 2 women, and both were in sports, and one is an agent, and she's she represents lots of male sports clients, and she was sort of talking about her experience and her journey of kind of how she got there and how she got them to, basically trust her and come to her. And it was quite inspiring.
Did she jump up and say, "Show me the money"?
Maybe. If she did, she didn't share that.
So let's go back a little bit to the tech and the AI themes, if you want. I would say on the Clio front, it's really interesting because this is an industry where not only do law firms like chase each other for second place, right? No one wants to go first, but no one wants to go third. But also, I think a lot of the vendors do as well. And so a lot of times when you see big ideas coming out from one vendor, the others are like taking notes and ready to follow. We used to see that a lot with Case Text. Right, Case Text would come out with something cool,
everybody, and then
Lexus and Westlaw and Bloomberg and others would come out with the same product. The thing that I think was most interesting and I think was most realistic was using AI in things like intake and not just doing the traditional type of intake where you're running conflicts and you're
gathering data points.
I mean, that I think everyone is thinking about, how do we use AI? But one of the things that I was hearing that is on the horizon for a Clio and others is that once a matter is set up, of using AI to then start the workflow and the process mapping and saying, okay, this is this type of case. For this, you're going to need, these 5 documents. And instead of just saying you need those 5 documents, of actually starting to draft those 5 documents and give you something to work with, and then put things on your calendar saying, okay, if this has to be filed, here are the dates that you have to get this in by. Here's your time to follow up. So there's a lot of almost assistant type process that they were talking about.
Interesting.
Setting it up and making it a client matter process that starts to kick in as soon as you've got the client signed.
I have questions. I have many questions.
I don't know that I can answer it.
How did they know the documents to start?
A lot of it will be because now they're tapped into your DMS.
Tapped into your DMS, tapped into Outlook.
Tapped into Outlook, tapped into the courts, tapped into the dockets. And not only that, but then they also have secondary resources that have those checklists. And based on your jurisdiction, it may come up with here are the 5 things that you need to do to start this process.
It might work. I mean, I'm actually sort of working on like some workflows and with associated tools, and it could work if it's connected, all of that. I mean, just everybody has kind of bespoke processes, and certainly even subgroups of practice groups have their own types of processes. So you'd almost have to,
and I think
narrow it to like, okay, people in this group normally do X, Y, and Z, and then be able to do it. That's pretty cool.
Well, and I think it's a not so well kept secret that when it comes to matter management software, big firms are sorely missing in that area. So
that's what Clio is banking on.
And it's exactly what Clio, I think, is looking at, is with the Clio Operate. I did warn them that naming everything Clio something is good for branding, but can also have some detrimental effects. If one piece doesn't work, it's not Operate that doesn't work, it's Clio that doesn't work. And so I let them know that from previous experience with other firms or other companies that have rebranded everything as blank this. But I think with Clio Operate having a matter management software, that's probably going to be their entry into large firms, because that's not going to be replacing anything. That's going to be a new process or new product. And I think it's a lot easier to come in that way, just my own personal experience, than it is to try and say, okay, we're coming in with a conflict system and we're going to replace Intap or whatever your
right, or here's an AI
is.
tool, or something like that. This is different.
Now, whether or not Jack takes my advice, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to talk to a whole lot of people, and again, that was because my flights and all of that. But there was a networking lunch where there was a lunch, and I got lunch, and there were people there, but there was like no place to sit. So I found this little table around the corner, and I sat down, and then immediately I had a few people like join me. It's like, can we sit? So, just in that little microcosm, it was a very tech forward company, which is a household name, and was talking to their in-house counsel. And then there was another one who was a very tiny company, very niche product that helped in extraction of minerals, and had very very niche type of needs in terms of contracts. And so it was, you just had like the two, one here. And I imagine that is probably a good representation of kind of what was at ACC in terms of tech maturity.
Who was the keynote? Did you get to go?
I didn't get to go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know who it was?
Bryan Cranston.
No, it wasn't Bryan Cranston. It was, oh gosh, is it Squawk Box? They're on early in the morning financial.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like CNBC or something, or MSNBC or.
Think so. I know I can picture him in my mind, but the name is not coming. But I know Saju was in line to get his autograph for the book. For his book. So yeah, I missed that completely, unfortunately.
Yeah, we had the big wrap up, of course, was Richard Susskind, and I've seen Richard Susskind many times, and it's now there's a AI component to the end of lawyers, and But I will have to say, I think he was a lot more, I think, optimistic somewhat
What?
with
Wow.
the AI, because I think he sees there's a lot of opportunity, and of course his big thing is, the way we sell services is not great,
And it's still not great.
and it's still not great. And there's still hope that we'll get off the billable hour at some time.
Yeah, it's like, how long has the end of lawyers been going?
Well,
He's made a good industry out of that
yeah,
for
it's
what? How many years?
well, I mean, he just started
20?
he really kind of took off after the '08
Yeah.
crisis, right? In fact, timing was pretty much everything, because he's been around since the '80s,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think he really got mainstream until after
We had an event.
the event, and timing really helped on that. Um, the I think the one thing that he saw was, using the AI tools as uh, assistance, as leverage of even as they get smarter, there's still a lot of opportunity in the legal field, and there's so much demand, pent up demand for legal services that go unmet. And so, I mean, a lot of it was rehashing things he's been saying for 40 years. He did point out that he was talking about artificial intelligence in the '80s. So, by the way, he was ahead of the game, I guess. But it's I think it was a nice way to wrap it up, but nothing, I don't think, earth shattering that he brought up. The touchy feely part we got was we had a keynote that talked about the 20 some odd years he spent in prison for a crime that he didn't commit.
Yeah.
And just talked about the justice system, and it was really interesting because of the audience.
Yeah.
The audience being a bunch of lawyers, right? And I think there was some really uncomfortable moments in there when it was talking about how much we believe in a legal system that doesn't serve everyone well, and I mean, kind of called on people to make a difference, and
Mm-hmm.
it was very, very motivating. But he talked about well, he actually had his story was on NBC Dateline, and it more or less proved that he did not commit this crime, and it was like 14 years later before he got out, maybe even longer than that.
Was it like, what kind of like, was it
It was a
scientific?
murder. It was a murder of a police officer.
Uh-huh.
And so the DA in Manhattan, where he was convicted, even after the evidence, was like, "Well, we gave you a fair trial. That's all we owed you." So, and again, this is coming from his
Yeah,
perspective. We
that's
didn't hear
true.
the DA from Manhattan wasn't there, but I've watched enough Law and Order. I know how
That's
they
it.
are.
We know.
I know
Law
how
and
they
Order
are.
is the truth. The truth.
Did you have any Feely presentations?
There was a wellness presentation, but I did not attend it. I was at another AI one. But they did have a wellness one. One of the themes that I heard a lot, and again, this has to do, it falls right in nicely into governance and regulatory, is sort of balancing human skills and the governance aspect of things. There's this deep fear that people don't really understand, when they're putting stuff into an LLM, like what's safe, what's not, why it's safe, why it's not. Um, Lots of concerns about shadow AI, which, I definitely took the opportunity to say, this is where you are a partner to your organization to make sure that people have the tools that they need.
Yeah, because if
And
they don't have them, they'll go
because if they
seek them
don't
out.
have them, right, they'll go someplace else. And we all know that happens. So that, I think, was a big theme, along with another one where, again, it was the regulatory and just trying to get a handle on all of the different guidelines and regulations and from all the different jurisdictions and kind of how do you manage all that.
So what did you take away from
the regulatory one?
Yeah.
I took away that
Was it you're doing the things you need to do, or are you missing something?
Oh, well, I think it was, I mean, all of these were couched in the making people aware of these things. And I think in-house counsel or general counsel have a really tough job in terms of trying to get a handle on all of that, because it's, some of them kind of take different positions. Some of them are much more relaxed, others are not. And, I don't know if it's like where, a firm I used to be in, for CLE, like you just sort of pick the most restrictive state and that's sort of what you did your CLEs to. I don't know if you do that. And even if you do, the stuff changes. It's changing really rapidly. And so I feel like the AI governance policies, I mean, that is just that's a fluid document. Like that's not going to be something that you're going to rely on for a year. Like you're going to rely on it for, maybe 6 months if, and then you're going to have to change it again. So I appreciate them. I appreciate them. I really do.
Well, I can't imagine, it's hard enough, trying to do all the governance rules and AI policies for, 1,000 or 2,000 people. I can imagine what it's like for 50,000, 100,000.
50,000 people all across the world.
All across the world, and, 75 jurisdictions and all that. So, God bless them.
Good night. So.
All right. Well, and we both have TLTF coming up. So that's going to be interesting. I'm hoping that we can do some recording while we're there.
That would be good.
That would be good. we need more shows, but that's such a good crowd. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Any other things we need to hit?
No, I don't think so. I think that's kind of my last. I mean, I'm not speaking, but I think that's kind of my last sort of public engagements that I know of before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Take a breather.
Where did they say where ACC is next year?
Boston.
Oh, guess where
Boston.
ClioCon back in
really?
Boston. Yep.
Well, so, they liked Boston. Well, that's good.
Boston is good, but I can tell you what, get your hotel early because those dang things are expensive.
Yeah, it is not an inexpensive area, but I know that you kind of went alternative ways to sort of secure where you were staying, and I did the same thing.
Oh yeah. My favorite story: first night, I'm staying at an Airbnb. It's got stairs, aren't exactly
it's
level.
Boston. It's old.
And I busted my butt the first night, twisted my ankle, and so I was limping around. So if you saw somebody hobbling around, that was me.
Well, speaking of hobbling, so after the award ceremony, I was in heels, and it's like I you know what it is? It's like I haven't worn heels, honestly, like real heels since COVID, and I think. Me
either.
Yeah, well, my feet reacted. So yes, I did walk home barefoot from the party.
Well, you posted a great LinkedIn post about it as well.
I did.
All right. Well, it's good catching up. I like doing these once or twice a year, and again, I think the ClioCon was great. It sounded like ACC was great. So I'll probably. Depending on how things go, I'll be back in Boston next year. Oh, in fact, we will be.
I hear we have a standing invite for ClioCon next year.
Nice. All right. Well, thanks for doing the catch up.
You too.
Want to go through the outro?
Yes, and thanks to you, our listeners, for taking the time to listen to the Geek and Review podcast. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a colleague. We'd love to hear from you, so reach out to us on LinkedIn and TikTok.
And if people want to learn more, you're here.
Here we are. We're on LinkedIn.
All right. And thanks to Jerry David DeSica for the great music. Go out and buy his music.
Yes. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.